All right. This is the Wealth Building Educator for another fire interview. I'm really looking forward to this one. I've been trying to hook up with the Ingrams for a few months now. We finally get the opportunity to sit down. This is actually a first for us on this channel. We have a baby that's going to be part of the interview. So I'm really, truly looking forward to this. This is Tony and Brittany Ingram, and they're known as Ingram Muscle. Welcome to the channel. Why don't you all go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, we appreciate
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. My name is Tony, and this is my beautiful wife, Brittany.
And this is Willow.
This is Willow. She gonna hang out with us today. And we have a 7-year-old named Harley. She's actually downstairs. So yeah, we live in Japan, so that's why you see the daylight over here. It's morning time. And I'm in the Navy, and this is where we're stationed right now. And I've been in the Navy for 11 years from Fort Worth, Texas.
Funky Town.
Funky Town, stand up. You know?
Funky Town, stand up.
Fort Worth, Texas. And yeah, I've been in the Navy for 11 years now. This month made 11 years. And me and my wife, we've been married for 8, going on 9. And we're just having a good time in this life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm Brittany. I'm originally from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I am a celebrity makeup artist and a mother of 2 and wife to Tony, and all the things.
Well, I really follow your story since I've seen you on the Anthony O'Neill show, and that's something we have in common. As you know, my wife and I were just featured, and that's how I found you all. I saw you on the show, and I was like, wow, they have a great story to tell. And after I started following you all, one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that y'all really seem to enjoy what you do. I mean, you all have a lot of fun with it. You're entertaining, and anybody who sees what you do will fall in line and follow you. So I really enjoy that part of what you do. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the whole marriage and money thing? You say you've been married for 8 years. You got 2 beautiful baby girls, but I know you have an interesting story about how you actually proposed before you started dating. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that. So just a quick backstory. My wife and I, we were on a show called Black Love on the OWN network, Oprah Winfrey Network. So we were able to tell our love story on national TV. But just to kind of give you how that happened, I met Brittany in 2011. That was Thanksgiving weekend. It was Black Friday. Actually, it was that Saturday. My very first time going to Los Angeles, I was stationed in San Diego, and she was living in Los Angeles and working there. And my very first time going to LA was that Saturday. And I went out. I didn't know where I was going. I was just doing something, right? I wanted to get out the house and see what LA was like. And then went to a little couple clubs with my friend, a few bars, bar hop. We was on Sunset, just walking around. And then we went to get something to eat that night. And this is how Brittany and I met. And I seen her sitting across from me, man. And I was like, oh, man, I love her. I got to go say something to her, right? So anyway, that's how we met. I went and talked to her, was sitting down. We actually ate together that night. And then we connected then. But then I went on deployment 2 weeks after that. I was gone for 7 months. So we just maintained a friendship. And then fast forward to 2012.
Yeah.
13, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, it was 2013.
2013.
That's right.
And I was getting ready to transfer from my ship from San Diego, and I was going to be stationed in Japan. But I knew that I really liked Brittany. Excuse me. I really loved Brittany. She wasn't my girlfriend. She wasn't my girlfriend or anything, but I was like, man, I think this is the woman I want to marry.
Yeah. It was something about her.
Yeah, man, it was just something about it. And I'm the type of person where, it was just hard for me to commit. I was just like, I had maybe 2 girlfriends in my whole life, maybe 3. Other than that, man, I was just kind of solo dolo. And then, anyway, I was getting ready to leave, and I set up this whole thing. I bought a ring. She didn't know what was going on, and I proposed to her one time. She was down in my place in Diego. Got down on one knee and I proposed to her, man. And She's like, wait a minute, we're not even boyfriend and girlfriend. And I was like, don't worry about that. Cut out the middleman because, you know, I don't want no girlfriend. I want you to be my girlfriend. I want you to be my wife.
I had to say yes. I was like, yes, like that. All right, let's do this.
And then we ended up going to the courthouse and we got married at the courthouse like 2 weeks later.
That's incredible. It just kind of shows you don't need to have some long courtship. You don't need to be together for 2 or 3 years. You don't need to spend $30,000 on a wedding if you truly love that other person. So that's a phenomenal beginning. So when you all got together, you know, prior to getting married, in between the time when you proposed to her and went to the courthouse, did y'all ever really have any money conversations?
You know what? We you want to?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So that January of 2013 until like I would say like March, that's when we kind of like started seeing more of each other as friends. And one of the dates that we went on, Tony invited me to San Diego and he asked me about my credit score. And I was like, okay, why is he asking me about my credit score? You know what I mean? And actually, that was the day he proposed to me.
It was.
Because that we went on a, yes.
Picnic.
It wasn't some random date. It was the day he proposed to me. I remember. We went on a picnic prior to him proposing to me, and he was asking me all about my credit score and where was my finances at. And I thought that was very interesting. I wasn't offended by it. My credit score wasn't where I wanted it to be at the time, but nobody had ever asked me about my finances before in dating. So it was a little bit intriguing as well, you know, and so, you know, it was good enough. It was not in the toilet, but it was, you know, it was stable for, you know, early 20s, and I didn't have a bunch of debt. I only had my student loan. So, but I just never really established credit because I didn't get into like credit cards and all that when I was young. So I just didn't have any credit established.
Okay. So it sounds, because I saw the number that you got out of debt eventually. So Tony, were you the one that entered the marriage with most of the debt?
You know what, Rashad, man, it was crazy because I had a car when we came in when we got married. I had a BMW 6 Series. It was beautiful, right? So I had that car, and I had a couple credit cards, but a lot of it was racked up over time.
During our marriage.
Yeah. It was like and a lot of it was I like to take the brunt of it because I'm the spender in the relationship.
Oh, okay.
You know? And so I take full responsibility or accountability for it. And of course, it's both of us, but Brittany is like, hey, it's both of us in this thing. But I'm the spender.
Yeah, I got you.
When I said on something, it's like a train and you can't stop it, right? I throw a fit and it end up happening.
Tony likes to make it rain, and I'm like in the air, like catching them. Like, he's like, like, oh gosh. So when he get, I always tell him like, Tony, when you get in your vibe, he's like a freight train. He's like, let's spend it. Yeah. We'll worry about the money later. And so I just fall in line, and I'm like, okay, we'll worry about the money later. But we're both on the same page now in terms of our finances, and Tony's in a much better space.
That's good.
With money, yeah.
So how did you turn that around? Because a lot of time a spender is a spender, and they have to have some kind of epiphany in order to change that. So what happened? Okay,
so we have 2 debt-free stories, or 2 journeys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna just go right to the second one, because the first one we failed at, obviously, because we had to do a second one. All right, so we went through Financial Peace with Dave Ramsey, and I already knew about Dave Ramsey when I was like 23, 24. I went through the course when I was single, and but the only thing was like, oh man, I gotta have me a new car. Like, I gotta look good, you know. So that mentality, it didn't click for me at the time. It didn't click for me the second time, and so when Brittany and I were married, we went through the debt-free journey the second time, right? While we were married. I had to go to work. I had to go on travel in Virginia. So I left California, went to Virginia for some training for my work, for my job. Was there for 2 months, in the hotel room for 2 months by myself. And when I got there, I did a fast. And the fast was 7 days. And I like the fast. We like to fast periodically just so we can connect more with God and just, disconnect a little bit, kind of purge. And during the fast, it was like no social media, really getting to your word, prayer. And during my fast, that's when God tapped me on my shoulder. He was like, hey, son, I'm blessing you with all these resources, but you're not being a good steward of the money that I'm blessing you with. You're supposed to be the head of the household. You're not being a good leader right now. And this is like, God is talking to me, man. And it was very humbling. And at that point, I called Brittany. I said, hey, we can't keep living like this. We know we got this debt. We put it in the back of our mind. Let's sit down and let's see how much we have. This was 2019, July. And we put it down on paper, $230,000 of debt. That included everything. Car, not house. Because you can't buy a house for $230,000 in California.
No.
Yeah, you're gonna get like a toilet and a shack. That's not it. But you got we had car payments, multiple credit cards, we had construction loans for our house, so landscaping and all that good stuff. Personal loans, had IRS bills, anything, student loans, anything you can think of. We had accumulated over, the years that we had been married. And so, yeah, the breakthrough came when I started fasting and just asking God for guidance and really just surrendering and saying, hey, we make good money, but we're not doing a good job with it. And so that's when that came and we talked about it and we got on the same page and we just started being vulnerable and open with each other because we understood that, most marriages end because of money fights and money problems. We never really had a money fight before, but at the rate we were going, it wouldn't have got better,
Absolutely. So what was the final straw? I know you had that conversation and you were talking to God, he was talking to you. But what was the final straw? Because you probably have had a conversation. He's probably, tapped you on your shoulder before and said, Tony, you're not being a good steward of your money. But what ultimately led you to finally making that decision? Was it an argument or anything like that?
Wasn't an argument. It was the fact that we finally sat down and added up the numbers. And we bought a house that same year. So we bought a house in March of 19. And
we found out that we were pregnant with Willow.
Yep. Found out we were pregnant with her. And so it was like, okay, wait a minute. We're extending our family. We say we want to be rich, wealthy, but we're not in alignment with that. I was reading, what was the book? I was reading Millionaire Next Door at the same time. And that book really, it was giving me all these stats. I'm reading this book while I'm fasting. I'm reading Millionaire Next Door. I was tapping back into the Total Money Makeover, and it was just all aligning. All aligned. It's like, man, you don't have to be flashy to be a millionaire. In reality, most people that are flashy probably as broke as the next person. And so that's when it started to click for me, Charlotte, in conjunction with God really talking to me. Reading those books, just educating myself, and then talking to Brittany about it. We got on the same page, and she was ready.
I was just happy that Tony came around on his own, and I didn't have to continue to because I wasn't drilling it into him. I wasn't saying, hey, we need to get back on our debt-free journey. Hey, I was just kind of allowing him to lead, and I was just following along, okay, I'm trusting Tony. He's my husband, so I trust him. So it was almost like I was just so happy that he came around. I was like, oh, thank you, God. He came around on his own, and it was better because God had told him what he needed to do. He had the revelation on his own. So much better than me saying it. Wow. He got it wrong.
That's powerful. And we have a similar story. When I was constantly nagging my wife, she wasn't necessarily trying to be on board with the plan, right? So when she saw how much it bothered me, and when I was able to get the buy-in from her on her own, that's when we were successful. It sounds the same with you. You kind of let him do what he had to do. And then once he came around and he was ready to make that change, then y'all been to the moon ever since. And I think y'all paid off,
235,000
in 19 months.
19 months, yeah.
Okay, well, that is phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Appreciate
It was like when we were ready, nothing could stop us.
Nothing.
You know, it was like we were ready.
Yeah. And so I recently saw a post that you made about the 4 steps that you recommend to take towards financial freedom. And the ironic thing is that the very first step is the same first step that I recommend. Why don't you go over those things real quick?
Absolutely. I got them on my phone right here. Okay, so the first step was just get organized, right? Get clear on where you stand with money. And that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
Also, get clear where you stand with money and then get organized. That's how that happened for us. And man, like I had to look in the mirror and say, man, you suck with money. You make good money, but you suck with it.
Yeah.
And at the rate you're going, you're just going to be going paycheck to paycheck. You're just going to continue to be a consumer. And that's what I was. And it's definitely more frugal than I am. And I'm just like, I'm a spender, man.
I think getting organized with your money is also, it means like putting down all of your expenses on paper, put everything down on paper and see what is going where.
Yeah.
And that's a part that I think that we were getting clear on, is really seeing how much debt we had.
Yeah.
That was like the first step. See how much debt you have, and then see how much, if you have a budget, then you already know how much your bills are and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't write down all of their debt and include that car because that is debt.
Yeah.
Include that student loan because that is debt.
Yeah.
Include it all and just be vulnerable and honest with yourself and what you owe. That is getting clear and getting organized with your money.
Yeah.
Well, and that's actually great that you say that, because when I sit down and I talk to friends and I talk to just colleagues and we talk about money, the first thing I tell them to do every single time is to write down all of their assets and write down all their liabilities, because you need to know your net worth. There's no way you can have any progress without knowing where you stand. So that's great that you said that. So what would be the next step that you take?
So we did that, understanding like the budget, and we went back a few months just to see how we were spending, right? What does our budget look like? We calculated our net worth, and it was like negative 70,000 at the time. Right? It's in the red. And then the second thing that we did was we established an emergency fund, a minimal emergency fund. We got our insurance in line, which we had insurance already, so that we were familiar with. So we had the life insurance, just trying to protect ourselves and establish a defense, really. And then the last thing is we're still actually working on is estate planning, and that was all of this was part of step number 2. So we're still working on the estate planning and wills and things like that. So try to establish that baseline, the foundation, right? Before everybody want to get to investing, everybody want to see how you can make more money, but let's back up.
Yep. Let's
start blocking and tackling first, the simple stuff, and let's get that in order first before you can move on. And then after that, the step 3 was we start paying off our debt as quickly and as aggressive as possible.
Yeah, we were aggressive.
Yeah, and I don't care what anybody tell you. Like, pay that debt off fast. Stop like babysitting that ain't your friend. And I see a lot of people like, oh, obviously it's your journey. You do what you want. But in my opinion, man, get that debt out your life.
I think because this was our second debt-free journey, we were so embarrassed.
Yeah.
We knew we were whooping ourselves. So we were like, we got to get this gone quickly. We can't babysit this journey. Like this journey has to be quick.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. So why don't you tell everybody, how did you get out of debt? Did you do the debt snowball? Did you do the baby steps in order, the $1,000 or what?
Yeah.
I think, we went right back to the baby steps. We went right back to what we already knew because the baby steps work. So we did the debt snowball method, and it actually worked for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing that momentum going one step at a time.
Yeah.
Emergency fund, had that, and then debt snowballed everything. one at a time. You laser focus on one thing at a time. Things will happen faster, more efficient for you. You can direct all your energy towards that one thing. And that goes for anything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we stopped all of our investments, and everything for the time being. So we followed the steps just as it's taught.
Yeah.
That's great that you did that. And there's some people that, they're going to argue back and forth about whether or not you should do a debt avalanche or a debt snowball. When we got out of debt, we did a combination of both, just depending on the interest rates. But I do know psychologically that debt snowball, it's the best way to go. Regardless of your interest rate, knock out those smaller debts, because a lot of time people are overwhelmed. They might have 10 or 15 or 20 debts. So if you could just knock out a bunch of those little ones, then it starts to gain traction, and then that snowball really starts to work in your favor. So that's incredible. That's great that you all paid off so much debt in such a short amount of time. A lot of people will probably say, hey, they must make a killing. They must make a lot of money. But the formula works regardless of how much money you make, because a lot of time, the higher earning individuals have more access to more credit, so they have more debt. So, when you look at ratios, you might have somebody that makes $50,000 a year that has $50,000 in debt. So it might be the same kind of formula for them to get out of debt as someone who makes $200,000 or $300,000 a year. So I'm a firm believer that regardless how much money you make and regardless how much debt you are in, it's ultra important to get out of debt. Just knock it out, because when the day you get out of debt, you're gonna feel like you've had such a large boulder removed from your shoulder. So I'm proud of you all. You've done a great job, in that area. So what are your goals moving forward financially? Looking at, I know fire is in your plan, generational wealth. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah. So now that we're out of debt, which we became debt free March of 2019, 2021. That was last year. March of 2021, got out of debt. So the goal now is to become financially independent, right, and retire early. That's our ultimate goal. That's our 10-year goal, right? So I have about 10 more years in the military, and our goal is at that 10-year mark, we want to be set up enough where we don't have to work for anybody else if we choose not to. We only want to work for ourselves. And to really just invest for our future, invest for our children's future, invest for our children's future, and to really just be in a position where we can give more. We love to give, travel more, live abroad. We're really looking into that, and just really being impactful, continuing to tell our story, and hopefully to inspire millions of people.
That's incredible. So you're looking at retiring at approximately 48 years old.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, in our society, because I can retire at 53. And just get my pension on top of all the other investments we have. Right. But people, when I tell them that, they're shocked, because in our society, 53 or even 60, 65 is young to retire. We're conditioned to work until we're 69, 70, 75 years old. And I just think, my goal for FIRE, my goal for financial independence is to provide myself and my family with options moving forward. And it sounds like it's the same with you. You might not even stop working. You're gonna have your own business and your own side hustles, and you're just providing options for yourself. So I'm very proud of the work that you all are doing, and I'm confident that you're going to continue to do big things.
Yes.
I want to hear more about Ingram Muscle now. What?
Well, Ingram Muscle is it started off as kind of like a passion project type of thing. Well, it still is. It still very much so is. We started working out together early in our marriage, and once we decided that we wanted to both do a bodybuilding competition together, we wanted to document it. We wanted to, put it out on social media. So that's what we did. And so that's when Ingram Muscle came about. And so we were able to just kind of, show Tony working out in the gym and me working out in the gym and us working out together. And then we eventually wrote a book together called Equally Yoked, how health and fitness enriched our marriage. And so that was incredible. So that's kind of how Ingram Muscle was started, how it formulated. But Ingram Muscle now has expanded to, it's not just about working out. It's not just about fitness anymore. And so we like to say that the muscle piece is more so about like you work a muscle to kind of like to grow. Yeah. So that's with your finances, with your spirituality, with your faith, with your relationship, your marriage and stuff like that. And so it's more than fitness now, but that's how it started.
That's incredible. That's awesome. I know that my wife always says, "Hey, if we're gonna do this working out wise, we got to do it together because it's just easier when you do it together." And one thing I know my wife has said, and I totally agree with it, is I focus so much on the debt-free journey. And if you list all your debts in a snowball, fitness is the same way. It's like you're in debt when you're trying to lose weight. Yeah. And you could do a snowball with your weight, and just having that accountability partner financially and when it comes to physicality is super important. So the fact that you all are on the same page in all of those areas is amazing to me.
Yeah. It helped our fitness journey together and us doing bodybuilding together. One of the reasons why we wrote the book is because we didn't start out just really like connecting together in the gym. We started off in CrossFit, so we were more so in a group setting, so it was easier. But when we broke off into just him and I, Tony was trying to train me like I was a football player. And I wasn't ready for that yet. I was kind of like, wait a minute. And so our communication in the gym had to grow. And, it really helped with so many areas of our marriage, just being in the gym, from communication to being patient with one another, to really hearing what the other person is saying, what they're telling you, body language, all those things. So we just pretty much now, even on our debt-free journey, even when we were on our debt-free journey, it helped us out with communication and being patient and understanding and having grace and all those things. So it was a great foundation.
Hey, that is awesome. So I did see that you had the book Equally Yoked, and it, if I'm not mistaken, it had 5 stars so far. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna definitely need to grab that book to show my support for you all.
It's a really easy read. It's a short book. We made it really easy to digest so that people can get what they need and get out of there.
And it's not so much a how-to book. It's got some great tips in it, but it's basically our journey and how we got to where we were in our fitness journey. And you don't have to do a bodybuilding competition or anything like that. That was just part of our journey, and that was the season we were in when we decided to write the book. And awesome. Yeah, man, it's been pretty cool. That journey's been awesome, man. And we ain't bodybuilding right now, but we still train together when we can. So the dynamic is a little different, and our bodybuilding season is not here, but it's just the health piece. Continue to grow in your health, to continue to enrich your physicality.
That's awesome. So let me also bring up the faith. So people, obviously, we got various faiths that people celebrate and everything. And I know you all are, confident in your faith and you're faithful people. Some people, when they are trying to get out of debt, when they're on their debt-free journey, some people stop tithing, but I don't believe you stopped tithing. Am I correct?
You're correct. Yep. The coolest part about the tithing is it exercises your obedience muscle. And if you can get that down, because it's not the fact that, hey, the church needs this money, which some of them may. It's not the fact that God needs your money. It is obedience. Can you do what God is telling you to do in order to grow in your faith? He unlocks these levels of inheritance and riches and blessings when you continue to be obedient to his word. And so we are big advocates of just walking in your faith, being true in your faith, really just renewing your mind and continuing to walk on the path that God has set out for you, and we want to be examples of that. Now, we're not like Bible thumpers or anything and saying, hey, you shall do this, you shall. No, that's not it. We just want to lead by example.
Absolutely.
We want to lead by example, and we're big believers in that. And so we understand that our faith has really contributed to our successes in life, the marriage, our health, debt-free journey, our finances, because God, he gives us the power to build wealth. He gives us the power to stay healthy. He gives us the power to inspire. He gives us the power to walk in our purpose. But you have to be open to that. You have to be open to really seeking God's purpose in your life, and all these other things will unlock itself. So that's why tithing was important to us, and it still is important. We didn't miss a beat, Rashad.
We didn't
miss a beat. We tied our 10%, didn't miss a beat. The coolest part is we would get unexpected blessings in the mail.
A lot. We got a lot of checks in the mail that we did not know. We were like, oh, wait, we got this month?
Right.
Like an extra $5,000. Extra
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And we wasn't really looking for that, but I mean, we understand like some of the things that you can tap into when you're obedient. But if you're neglecting things like that in your life, it's just, it can spiral in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Wow, that's a phenomenal story, and I really appreciate you telling it, because anybody who was able to see the passion that you exuded just now, they'll know that you're for real. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Before we end our interview, if you were sitting down and consulting with a couple who is considering getting married, or a couple who's newlyweds and they're having issues with debt, or they want to prevent themselves from having issues with finances, what's one piece of advice each of you would give a couple?
The one piece of advice that I would give the couple is to find a mediator to help you get on the same page. That mediator for us was the financial piece. Dave Ramsey did all the work. Tony didn't have to force it down my throat. I didn't have to force it down his throat. Financial piece did the work. Whether that is a counselor or you get into some type of program to help you guys and to guide you along that journey. So it's not like the wife or the husband is trying to convince the other person. You need a mediator there to try to just help you understand like where you need to be in terms of finances, and just have that unbiased opinion about what you should do with your finances. I think that is that's the most helpful and most impactful, I think, on our journey, because Tony didn't have to beat it over my head. I didn't feel intimidated because he knew more than me or whatever. It was just very helpful just to have financial peace and me and go and digest it on my own at my own speed.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. What about you, Tony?
I add, especially if you're like getting ready to get married and newlywed. So dream together. Sit down, take a step back, and understand that we are a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's just not a saying. It is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pulling one way and I'm pulling one way, how can we come together and meet? So sit down together, dream together. What do you want your life to look like? I'm not talking about like what's the newest and latest things you can buy, because that stuff, in the grand scheme, it don't matter. It's cool to have that stuff, but what are you trying to accomplish as a family, as a team, right? And when you can sit down and do that and understand, hey, let me put my pride to the side, because that pride can kill a lot of men. It can kill a lot of wives. Give your man a chance. Give him the space to lead. If your man don't have a space to lead, he's going to feel like he can't lead. Therefore, he's not going to be able to communicate with you effectively. And he's not going to be able to lead that household like you need him to lead that household. And so being able to dream together on the same page, talk about those finances before you get married. We can talk about sex and everything else, but we can't talk about money. That need to change. And there's a reason why over 50% of marriages end in money fights and money problems, because we're not talking about it. No, let's talk about these things. The behavior. If I know I'm a spender or I like the shiny objects, we need to get that intact. That's something that you can go to therapy for. It is. You have to realize that and like get ahead of that problem. Understand who you are as a person, man and woman. So that's advice I would give.
Hey, that's some great advice. It's all about accountability, and I think it's about transparency. If we can enter those relationships and not look at money as a taboo subject, and we can hold each other accountable, I think we'll be fine. Absolutely. Hey, Tony and Brittany, I really appreciate your time today. Why don't you tell the viewers how they can find you? I know you have a YouTube and Instagram. If you give that information, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. You can find us on our platforms. Instagram is at Ingram Muscle. YouTube, we have a YouTube channel, Ingram Muscle. Please subscribe to our channel there. We'll be talking about money, giving out tips, and just talking about our journey. You know, we want to inspire millions, motivate millions. And let's see, we have a Facebook page, Ingram Muscle. We also have a Twitter. It's Ingram_Muscle. And our website is ingrammuscle.com, where you can go in there and purchase our book, Equally Yoked. And leave us a review for that as well. 5 stars.
For sure.
Yeah, that's where you can find us. Tap in with us. We appreciate it.
Hey, I've enjoyed this conversation. I've enjoyed the dialogue. I'm going to continue to follow you and follow your journey. And this isn't the last time that we're going to sit down and talk, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Rashad. We appreciate you, man. We're proud of you.
Yes, we are.
Hey, I'm proud of y'all. And once again, I appreciate your service. Thank you for serving our wonderful country. And you all keep doing big things, okay?
Thank you, man.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
All right. Thank you all. You have a good one.
You too.
You too.
All right. Bye. Bye, baby.